The year is 2025. Nations stand at a crossroads, and the shadow of an impending global catastrophe looms larger every day. Across continents, tensions rise, alliances shift, and whispers of war grow deafening. Could this be the moment the ancient texts warned us about? What if the events we see on the news are not random occurrences, but part of a pattern foretold centuries ago? What if history, prophecy, and fate are converging right before our eyes? For centuries, the Bible has been a source of guidance, inspiration, and mystery. But beyond its spiritual teachings lies something much more ominous. Prophecies that have both fascinated and terrified those who seek to understand them. Among the most striking are the apocalyptic visions of Ezekiel and Revelation, where cataclysmic battles, disasters, and global upheavals are vividly described. These passages speak of a time when nations rise against nations, and the world itself hangs in the balance. Could that time be now? Territorial disputes, nuclear threats, economic instability, and rising ideological divides are happening all over the world. In regions like the Middle East, where ancient prophecies are rooted, tensions are escalating rapidly. The battle for dominance isn't just political. It's deeply tied to history, religion, and belief systems that have clashed for millennia. Is this the prologue to a third world war? Or is something even more profound unfolding? A plan that has been in motion for centuries. The Bible's prophecies, often dismissed as symbolic, seem eerily relevant in light of today's events. From the Battle of Gog and Magog to the persistent unrest involving nations like Israel and Iran, the parallels between scripture and reality are undeniable. As we dive into this investigation, we'll not only explore the ancient texts themselves, but the lives, nations, and ideologies entwined in this growing web of tension. History reminds us that humanity often ignores the warning signs until it's too late. But what if the future is already written, and we're only now starting to read the script? Are we truly prepared for what lies ahead? Or will we repeat the mistakes of the past, blind to the forces shaping our destiny? Before we dive deeper into the prophecies and their startling connections to today's world, take a moment to engage with this journey. If you're fascinated by mysteries like these, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring these thought-provoking topics to life, connecting history, scripture, and modern events in ways that inspire and challenge. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. But what do you think? Are we seeing the start of something biblical? Or are these events just coincidence? The Bible's prophetic texts have intrigued and mystified readers for millennia, offering glimpses of a future marked by conflict and divine intervention. Among these, the Battle of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39 stands as one of the most enigmatic predictions. But how do these ancient passages relate to the volatile state of our modern world? Ezekiel describes a coalition of nations led by Gog of the land of Magog, rising against Israel in the last days. While the exact identities of these nations remain debated, many scholars connect the description to regions in modern-day Russia, Turkey, and Iran. The prophecy foresees a massive invasion, countered by divine judgment in the form of earthquakes, fire, and hailstones, catastrophic events that leave the invaders utterly defeated. Fast forward to today, and the parallels are unsettling. Iran and Israel remain locked in escalating tensions, with disputes over territory, nuclear ambitions, and ideological dominance. Russia, with its growing presence in the Middle East, adds another layer of complexity. Could these nations represent the Gog and Magog alliance described by Ezekiel? And if so, are we witnessing the early stages of this prophetic conflict? Revelation 6 introduces another striking parallel with its vivid depiction of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, symbols of conquest, war, famine, and death. These horsemen unleash chaos upon the earth, eerily reflecting the crises we face today. Rising food insecurity, regional conflicts, and economic instability seem to echo these warnings. The prophecy is clear. Such events are not isolated incidents, but interconnected threads in a divine tapestry of judgment and redemption. Matthew 24 offers further insight, with Jesus' warning of wars, rumors of wars, and nations rising against each other. These signs, he explains, are the beginning of birth pains. The imagery is powerful, suggesting that these conflicts, while devastating, are leading toward a greater climax in human history. Could the current geopolitical landscape, marked by proxy wars, territorial disputes, and shifting alliances, be part of these birth pains? In the Middle East, the stakes are higher than ever. Israel, often seen as the centerpiece of biblical prophecy, stands at the heart of this unfolding drama. Surrounded by adversaries, its survival is both a political and spiritual question. The country's historic role as the Promised Land fuels its geopolitical importance, and its alliances with superpowers like the United States shape the balance of power in the region. Iran, meanwhile, plays the role of a modern antagonist, with its leadership frequently invoking religious and ideological narratives to justify actions against Israel. The nuclear question looms large, as experts warn that a direct conflict between these two nations could draw in other powers, creating a global domino effect. This brings to mind Revelation's vision of global wars leading up to the ultimate battle, a confrontation not just of nations, but of good versus evil. But it's not just the Middle East. Prophecies suggest a broader scope, encompassing nations from across the globe. The phrase wars and rumors of wars doesn't merely describe localized conflicts, it hints at a world engulfed by chaos. Today, tensions between major powers like the United States, China, and Russia contribute to an increasingly unstable international order. Could these dynamics represent the broader fulfillment of biblical warnings? Even climate change, often dismissed as a secular issue, carries prophetic overtones. Disasters like wildfires, droughts, and floods are seen by some as manifestations of divine judgment. In Ezekiel, natural calamities accompany the downfall of Gog and Magog, and Revelation speaks of plagues and ecological devastation. Are we witnessing nature itself reacting to humanity's choices? The Bible also speaks to the moral and spiritual state of the world during these times. Widespread corruption, injustice, and a turning away from divine principles are recurring themes in prophetic texts. Today, these warnings resonate as society grapples with inequality, political polarization, and moral ambiguity. However, it's essential to approach these prophecies with a balanced perspective. Skeptics argue that such predictions have been cited throughout history to explain a variety of crises, from world wars to economic depressions. They caution against interpreting current events too literally or selectively. Yet, for believers, the convergence of biblical prophecy and modern geopolitics is too compelling to ignore. As we piece together these clues, a larger picture begins to emerge that transcends politics and borders. Prophecies like those in Ezekiel and Revelation are not just about predicting events. They challenge us to reflect on humanity's trajectory. Are we heading toward inevitable conflict, or is there still time to alter the course? Ultimately, the connection between prophecy and reality forces us to confront profound questions about faith, destiny, and the choices we make as individuals and nations. If these warnings hold truth, what role do we play in this story? Are we mere spectators, or do we have the power to shape the outcome? History has a way of echoing through the ages, repeating patterns and reinforcing lessons for those who dare to listen. In the context of biblical prophecies, the region encompassing modern-day Israel, Iran, and their neighboring territories is a battleground and the stage for some of humanity's most defining moments. Long before the concept of nations existed, the Fertile Crescent, stretching from the Nile Valley through Mesopotamia to the Levant, was home to ancient civilizations that shaped the world. Here, agriculture, writing, and urbanization took root. This land saw the rise of empires like Sumer, Babylon, and Assyria, each leaving an indelible mark on history. In biblical terms, this region carries immense spiritual significance. It's the setting for many foundational events, including the Garden of Eden, Noah's Ark, and the Tower of Babel. These stories, deeply ingrained in the religious consciousness of billions, serve as a prelude to the narratives that follow. Stories of power, faith, and conflict. To understand today's drama, we must look back to one of the most pivotal moments in biblical history, the rise and fall of Babylon. This ancient empire, once the pinnacle of power and civilization, serves as both a cautionary tale and a prophecy fulfilled. Could today's superpowers face a similar reckoning? Centuries ago, Babylon stood as a marvel of its time. Its towering walls, lush hanging gardens, and immense wealth symbolized human ambition and ingenuity. But for all its splendor, Babylon was a kingdom marked by arrogance and oppression. The Bible depicts it as the epitome of a godless empire, destined to fall. The prophecy came to life when King Belshazzar, in an act of defiance, hosted a grand feast, using sacred vessels looted from the temple in Jerusalem. That night, a mysterious hand appeared, writing on the wall, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. The meaning was clear. Babylon's days were numbered, its reign weighed and found wanting. Not long after, the city fell to the Persians without a fight, a stunning turn of events that fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah and Jeremiah. Babylon's fall became a symbol of divine justice, a reminder that no power, no matter how great, is immune to accountability. Fast forward to today, and the story feels eerily familiar. Nations like the United States, China, and Russia, with their immense power and influence, seem unshakable. Yet cracks are visible. Political polarization, economic fragility, and rising tensions threaten their stability. The Middle East remains the epicenter of global unrest, a region where ancient rivalries and modern politics collide. At the heart of this turmoil lies Israel, a nation as controversial as it is pivotal. Surrounded by adversaries, Israel has forged its identity as a bastion of resilience and innovation. But its position is precarious, with long-standing tensions between it and Iran, escalating into what some fear could become a direct confrontation. Iran's nuclear ambitions add a layer of urgency. The possibility of a nuclear-armed Iran not only threatens Israel, but also destabilizes the entire region. While Israel has vowed to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, Iran's leadership invokes apocalyptic rhetoric, framing their conflict with Israel in both political and religious terms. For many, this evokes the imagery of the Gog and Magog prophecy in Ezekiel, where coalitions of nations rise against Israel. While the Middle East takes center stage, the involvement of global superpowers magnifies its significance. The United States, historically a staunch ally of Israel, faces challenges in maintaining its influence amid shifting alliances. Meanwhile, Russia and China are expanding their roles, often aligning with nations opposed to Western dominance. Russia's growing presence in the Middle East, from military interventions in Syria to strategic partnerships with Iran, mirrors the biblical portrayal of a northern power leading a coalition against Israel. Is this coincidence? Or are we witnessing a prophetic alignment of nations? China's approach, while less overtly confrontational, is equally strategic. Through its Belt and Road Initiative, China seeks to cement its influence across Asia and the Middle East. Economically dominant and militarily advancing, China's rise adds another layer of complexity to an already volatile equation. Could the Bible's warnings of a global conflict involve these emerging powers? The term world war implies more than direct confrontations. It encompasses a series of interconnected conflicts involving multiple nations. In today's world, proxy wars serve as precursors to larger-scale confrontations. Syria, Yemen, and Libya are battlegrounds where global powers test their influence, often using local actors as pawns in a greater game of power. These proxy wars bear striking similarities to the fragmented but interconnected conflicts described in prophecy. Matthew 24's wars and rumors of wars may well apply to this modern dynamic, where small-scale conflicts ripple outward, affecting global stability. The wars of the future may not only be fought with weapons, but also with economic strategies. Sanctions, trade wars, and resource monopolies are tools of modern conflict that can cripple nations without a single bullet being fired. The global economy, already strained by pandemics and climate crises, faces the added burden of these calculated disruptions. In Revelation, famine and economic despair are symbolized by the black horse of the apocalypse. Today, rising inflation, energy crises, and food shortages bring this imagery uncomfortably close to reality. Another hallmark of 2025's geopolitical environment is the rise of cyber warfare. Unlike conventional battles, these digital confrontations occur in the shadows, targeting infrastructure, communication, and security systems. As nations invest heavily in cyber capabilities, the lines between war and peace blur. This silent warfare may not have a direct parallel in biblical prophecy, but its implications are profound. In an era where control over information and technology equates to power, cyber conflicts could escalate into the type of global chaos described in Revelation. The role of climate change in exacerbating geopolitical tensions cannot be ignored. Resource scarcity, driven by environmental degradation, fuels conflicts over water, arable land, and energy. Nations struggling with droughts, floods, and wildfires may find themselves at odds over diminishing resources, turning environmental crises into geopolitical flashpoints. In Ezekiel and Revelation, natural disasters are often intertwined with divine judgment. Whether seen as acts of God or consequences of human neglect, these environmental challenges add another dimension to the global instability of 2025. The convergence of these factors, regional conflicts, superpower rivalries, economic instability, technological warfare, and environmental crises, paints a picture of a world on the brink. While skeptics argue that such tensions are cyclical, the alignment of these challenges with biblical warnings is difficult to dismiss. For believers, this alignment is not a cause for despair, but a call to vigilance. Prophecy serves as both a warning and a guide, urging humanity to reflect on its actions and seek a higher purpose. For others, it's a reminder that history's lessons must not be ignored. Whether through faith, reason, or both, the stakes in 2025 demand a unified effort to prevent global catastrophe. As the dust of speculation settles, one question remains. Are we witnessing the early tremors of a third world war? Or are these events merely echoes of history repeating itself? Regardless of belief systems, the convergence of prophecy, geopolitics, and human ambition compels us to confront our role in shaping the future. For believers, biblical prophecies offer both a warning and a guide, challenging humanity to navigate a turbulent world with faith and purpose. From Ezekiel's vision of Gog and Magog to the apocalyptic imagery of Revelation, these texts present a divine narrative of conflict and redemption. But even outside the realm of faith, these prophecies resonate deeply. They remind us that human history is often shaped by the choices we make in times of crisis. The modern world mirrors these ancient warnings in unsettling ways. The escalating tensions between nations, the specter of economic collapse, and the growing impact of climate disasters seem to fulfill the Bible's predictions of a world in turmoil. Yet, history has shown us time and again that humanity is capable of resilience and renewal. If we are to believe that destiny is not entirely predetermined, then the onus falls on us to act wisely. While wars and conflicts may seem inevitable, they are ultimately the result of human decisions, choices made by leaders, communities, and individuals. The recurring theme of division, both in prophecy and reality, serves as a stark warning. From Abraham's descendants to modern nations, history underscores the dangers of mistrust and rivalry, but it also highlights the power of reconciliation. The biblical promise of restoration, seen in prophecies like Jeremiah's vision for Elam, offers hope that even the most fractured relationships can be healed. Amidst the global scale of these issues, it's easy to feel powerless. Yet the decisions we make in our daily lives ripple outward, shaping the collective trajectory of humanity. Whether through acts of kindness, engagement in community, or advocacy for justice, every action counts. Prophecy reminds us of the importance of vigilance, not just in observing world events, but in reflecting on our own lives. Are we contributing to the cycles of division and conflict, or are we working toward unity and understanding? These questions are as relevant now as they were thousands of years ago. The intersection of prophecy and geopolitics doesn't demand blind faith or cynical skepticism. Instead, it invites a balanced perspective. By studying history, understanding the present, and preparing for the future, humanity can find a path that avoids the pitfalls of past mistakes. The Bible's warnings of war, famine, and natural disaster are not just predictions of doom. They are reminders of the consequences of human actions. They urge us to seek wisdom, act with compassion, and strive for justice, regardless of religious belief. The world of 2025 is uncertain, but uncertainty doesn't mean hopelessness. Prophecy, history, and current events all point to a choice: to either repeat the cycles of conflict or to break free from them. The decisions made by nations, leaders, and individuals will determine whether this period becomes another chapter of division or a turning point toward unity. As we close this exploration, one truth stands out: the future is not set in stone. While prophecy provides a framework, the power to shape the narrative lies in human hands. Whether through faith, reason, or a combination of both, we must rise to meet the challenges of our time with courage and wisdom. If this video has sparked new insights or questions, let us know in the comments below. How do you interpret these prophecies and their connection to today's world? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking discussions on faith, history, and geopolitics.